So welcome everyone to the Co-Creators Convergence celebration of World Unity Week. We are so honored to have with us Orion Foxwood. And so I'm going to turn the talking stick and all the controls over to Orion and his Zoom tech, Renee Collins. I'm sure a cohort, a compatriot, and I'm going to enjoy this hour along with you. So thank you everyone for coming.
Welcome to this session of World Unity Week. We're happy to have Orion Foxwood join us this afternoon and this evening, or wherever you may be in the world and in your time zone. Orion is an Appalachian conjure man, a fairy seer, and elder witch. His material that you'll be learning about, hearing from him today, is derived from his fairy seership teachings. And in case you want to learn a little more about it, he has a few publications, such as the Fairy Teachings and the Tree of Enchantment, both of which are still available, although some of them are getting rather rare and expensive. But he's been a wonderful teacher of mine now since 2009. I really respect the processes that he has brought and taught as a part of Fairy Seership Apprenticeship, and I want him to get into it because I know he has a lot to share with us. So if you'll join me in a warm welcome, thank you, Orion, for joining us.
Well, thank you, everybody. It's a joy to be here. Kanu, can you hear me clear? Good, good. I want to read something to you that is in many ways the basis of our work today. I mean, we've all come together today in a statement of unity and of peace. No peace within, no peace without. But if you know peace within, you shall know peace without. There was an old fairy ballad, the Ballad of True Thomas, and many of the old fairy teachings have come down that way. And if folks wonder, what are the fairy teachings? What are you mean the little people with the little wings and all that? No, no, something much, much older than that. It is the lore of the angels in the earth. So there was a ballad, and in this ballad, it's the Ballad of True Thomas, who was an actual historic figure in Scotland. He was a prophet, and he had been taken to the fairy lands, the fairy realms of the undercountry, the underworld, the ancestral world of this world. And the fair folk are the ancestors of all earth life. In his journey to the fairy lands, as she took him for 7 years, and then when she returned him, he had the tongue that cannot lie. He was then a prophet. As a part of the dialogue, speaking in this ballad of that journey, he says, on and on we rode. And we wode through rivers of blood, a boon to the knee. And we saw neither sun nor moon, but heard the roaring of the sea. It goes on in a less rhymed version to say, in this place lit by neither sun nor moon, but by the starlight and everything. What this ballad is speaking to, and why I'm here today, is that before we can go to the luminary lands, the original lands, the Edenic paradise, the vision of the Edenic paradise of earth, wherein lives all things that live from their core, from an undivided core, where peace abides, we must wade through rivers of blood, a boon to the knee. What it's speaking of is wade to the river of ancestry. All of us are here because of those before us. If we just take a moment and center in on that. You and I are here because of our mothers and our fathers, and their mothers and fathers, and the mothers and fathers before them. And even before that, the hominids, those ape-like beings that had to have that fire, and we're all downline from those who took the fire. And the fire is what made us evolve so fast. So we pay homage to our ancestors, human and other. If they had not been, we would not be. We are all a part of one great stream. It's so easy for us to see as we look at each other, our individual selves. But you know, once I had a chance to speak with one of the astronauts, was Louis Armstrong. Louis Armstrong. And he said that, you know, when you're off the planet and standing on the moon, distant from everything that matters to you, all that you love is there in that little globe made of green and blue. You all of a sudden realize that all the things that we see as different, or we go cat, dog, black, white, Christian, Buddhist, you know, all these differentiations suddenly go away. We're all on that little marble that's floating through eternity. So I offer this little prayer to you as a sort of a backdrop to the work we're doing today. And that is, we are all children of one mother, sister and brother, human and other. We are all children of one mother, our mothers, and our mothers were all made of the one mother, the grandest mother of them all, our sacred Mother Earth. Once we understand this, that we are linked by a great river of ancestry, that in your blood flows all of us, the blood of the first people, all the way back. We are all interconnected and interwoven into a fabric of mutual destiny. And as we've been watching, the earth is changing, the world is changing. Humanity in its journey towards actualizing itself became fascinated with itself. I mean, who wouldn't? You have to understand, when I mentioned fire and how fire changed us, in some ways, fire is the apple that we ate in the Garden of Eden. Fire, that incredible thing called fire, that thing that resembles the stars, made out of plasma, just like the stars. What was it that whispered in the ears of those little hominids when lightning came down and the fire took off, and everyone who touched it that they knew got hurt or died? Some of them had to have the fire, and they got that fire, and the fire changed us. We could wander from the warm climates to the cold. We could travel through the dark and fend off the animals that used to kill us. We could smelt metal, which is true magic. We could move metal from stone. But more than anything, we could cook our meat. By cooking our meat, it killed parasites. So now our lives were extended, and even more, it released proteins that hominid brain was waiting for. And boy, did that brain grow and grow and grow and grow. And look at us now. We've gone from those little chimp or ape-like beings to beings building vast civilizations from Egypt to Los Angeles. But we cannot bless the fruits and curse the roots. We left something behind in our rapid movement forward. What we left behind is a connection to all that is in life, where we fit as a thread in the fabric of Earth life. And now we are living the illusion of isolation, and it is showing up. COVID, so difficult for so many. We lost a lot of people, but I'm prayerful that we also gained many wisdoms. What was the two major preventions of COVID other than washing our hands? They were, one, stay home. Well, certainly that brought us back home, back to looking at ourselves. We stayed home to protect our breath. But then when we went out, we had to wear a mask. And I don't know about you, but every time I put on the mask, I treated it like a grail. And I prayed before I put it on. And I'll tell you why I found it powerful. Because we were putting on the mask to protect the breath of others. And breath is the thing that we all dip into. It is the well out of which we all drink. What it taught us was, if I protect your breath, I am protecting my breath. It brought us back to invisible linkages between us. There are invisible connections between visible things. You see, we are being called back to some core truths right now, and these truths will heal us. But if we ignore them, we will be gone. This virus could have done so much more damage had we not heeded the fact that we all share breath. Of course, there were other lessons too. We've got to care for our elders better, protect their breath. Theirs is a breath of wisdom. We have to protect them. I really use that as an example because we are all connected. There's a concept called the River of Blood, and there's an old ballad called True Thomas, which I mentioned earlier. And in that ballad, I spoke with they wove through rivers of blood aboon to the knee. In order for us to get to the unconflicted core, to get back to the destiny of being a co-creative extension of Earth, and to ready ourselves for our journey to the stars. And we are on our way. As we look at Mars and even terraforming Mars, even the concept is like Star Trek-y. But we cannot take the illusion of isolation with us. You see, in our rapid development as we moved forward, as fire developed us, and we grew in technology, we grew wide and extended, but we grew shallow and not deep. And we all know what happens to a tree with shallow roots, but a huge canopy, it will topple. And that's where we're at now. We're being summoned back to the roots. And again, reflecting on that old Appalachian saying that I grew up with, you cannot bless the fruits and curse the roots. Today is going back to the roots. So the ballad tells us that on the journey towards that Edenic paradise, which is called the fairylands or elfland in the old fairy tradition. What it is it's a type of Eden, a paradise, a place lit by the light within it, undivided, harmonious. There's a piece of all of us that lives there. There's a spark of divine essence inside each one of us that lives there. Did you know that all the iron in the universe, all iron, comes from one place ultimately? It comes from dying stars. All the iron that's in our planet came from stars that died out. It came from meteorites. Now I want you to think about this. As we go into that place lit by neither sun nor moon, but by starlight in everything. When you've looked up at the stars, if you're like I am, I've looked up at them so many times since I was a child to now and thought, am I from there? I have to wonder if that same star is looking down at me going, have I become them? All of the iron in the universe, including the iron inside you right now. And there's a new finding. 50% of the water on this planet is older than the solar system. You heard that correct. So that means 50% of the water in you and in me is older than the sun. We have wisdoms in us. We know how to correct what we've broken. We know how to heal each other. We just got to move into a place where we can allow ourselves to know what we know. So we are stars with human feet, encountering starlight in all we meet. Know this, grow this, and ignite. The stars will guide you through the darkest night. So as stars with human feet, as eternal light that has come to a terrestrial world, as children of one mother, her name being planet Earth, we are ancient beyond our knowing. And our jobs here is to care for the earth and for each other, and to be an extension of a wonderful, benevolent conspiracy between heaven above and the earth below, and become that co-creative, undivided, harmonious being that we are to be. Both guardians of this rich, wondrous planet we've been granted guardianship of, and also her extending hands as her most curious children, reaching out to space to understand its origins and to extend the reach of the beauty and the bounty and the mystery of this beloved earth. So, all of us are here because of those who were before us. Today, we are going to that great stream. We need to go in compassion, not go for ourselves. You see, the way this works is you have to go summoned by compassion. Grace is the power. Compassion is the horse we ride upon into the underworld. So now, what is this underworld? The underworld is the undergirding gestational existence of life on earth. In fact, the underworld in the old Celtic tradition is more than the underworld of earth. It's the underworld of the entire universe. Because we, like everything else, are emergent beings. We're not fully here yet. We're still arriving. Or as I say, we're still borning, and the Big Bang hasn't stopped banging. You're still arriving. I'm still arriving. The world's still arriving. We're going into the place of pre-arrival, that gestating stellar memory at the heart of the world, the place of the luminous beings that have been called the Shining Ones, the Teg, the people of peace, the Faery. We're going to that place, summoned by grace and fueled by compassion, to the headwaters of harm. We know that there's a lot of difficulty in our world, but we also know there is immense possibility. We are standing at a dangerous crossroads. You and I were born for this. We chose to be born at a time where we could be agents of change. But we have to know the change that we want. And peace and unity is core to that. So what I want us to do is to center in on something, and then I'm going to lead us through a series of attunements, and we'll go to that great river. And then after we're done, we'll have a little bit of time for questions. So we have to move kind of quickly. So put on your seatbelts. We have many things of conflict in our world. And I believe many, many people are reaching for the answers, and we will get them together. There's war and threat of war that we need to resolve. There's our beautiful Black community who just had Black Lives Matter. A beautiful, incredible, powerful statement of communities that are tired of being treated in bad ways, which is silly. How do we treat the oldest skin on earth as anything but holy? We're all holy. We have to heal that. Women have been through so much over these centuries. Women that you're even nice to us guys is a testimony to your grace. We have to heal you. The gay community, and the list goes on. So what we would endeavor to do, you see, each of us can heal all of us. Each of us are a fractal of the whole. Never underestimate your power. Definitely with the river of blood. Because see, if you let compassion for humanity and your concern for your beloved earth, and you think about the generations to come, let's do it for them. Let's go within our heart, the desire to heal the things that cause us to be not at peace. Where did it come in? So what we do is we go hunting for the headwaters of harm in our blood, in our ancestry. It may be thousands of years ago, may have been 10 years ago, I don't know. Don't go seeking a specific ancestor. The river of blood will show you them. And they may not be who you expected. And don't worry, you may not know their name. Don't worry, they know yours. We're bound by blood, not names. So what I'd like us to do is get ready. Let's go down. I think all this will make sense in the doing. So first, be aware of the sun and the moon and the stars above. Remember all those times that you've looked heavenward as a child. If you're like me, you look heavenward all the time, just wondering at the vastness of the stars, trying to get your brain around it and getting delighted like a child in a toy store, or a candy store, so much So much to take in, so much to light. Be aware of the sun, the moon, the stars, and we're all a part of it. We're on this planet journeying through eternity together. Be aware of that. Let the wonderment of it come down into you. Be as a child. Looking at the vastness allows us to regain our original innocence. Feel that innocence and wonderment come down into your center, down into your heart. As they say, backward, turn backward, O time in its flight. Make us children, if just for tonight. Now let your awareness now flow downward to the sacred earth. Be aware of the firmness beneath our feet. We never really think about, oh God, I hope the earth is going to be there when I step out of the bed. We never even think as we take each step, will the earth still be there when I take that step? We just go in faith and she's always there. Now you tell me that's not a friend. Be aware of all the goodness that rises. Our food, our water, our very flesh made of earth, our homes, everything that we love. Who can take the stars above, the radiation that falls from our blessed sun, and take light and make life out of it? The earth. You were one of those rays of light and you're still pouring in. Arriving, arriving, arriving. So let your mind wander down into the earth a moment and be aware that we are standing upon the earth of our ancestors. Every ancestor before us has lived upon this earth and are made of that earth and now are part of the making of the earth. For the soil is the digested wisdom of everything that has ever lived. Now let's go deeper in our awareness of the earth. Feel its pulse that rises to us. Be aware of the stones and the roots and of the hidden waterways and the caverns. Let your awareness be aware of deeper yet, underground lakes and vast oceans of water, and deeper yet, minerals, and deeper yet, the molten core that produces a magnetic field of which we are all part, a part of the grand miracle of earth. So much prosperity rises from the earth for us and for all living things, human and other. Sense all of it. Let yourself take a moment of gratitude as the pulse of the earth rises up to you, as you realize you are earth with human feet. You are the human part of earth. And that rises up and it commingles with the wonderment from above. Now be aware of a direction before you, behind you, to your left and to your right. All things have come from somewhere. All things are going somewhere. We are the accumulation of our past, extracting wisdom, extracting nutritional value for the spirit from all that we have ever been, human and other. It was the velocity of the past that brought you to this moment. And the seeking of answers to the three questions: who am I, what is it, and what's my role in it? And something inside you was so potent that you willed yourself from the invisible to the visible. And the ancestors said yes, and here you are. And the heavens above said yes, and here you are. And the earth said yes, and here you are. It's a miracle. And the velocity of every decision you've made, every step you've made, everything you've ever done and been has brought you to this moment. It's in this moment where the power is. Now before you is the unclaimed future, the now still rolling out. Be aware of it. Be aware that we're ever traveling towards it and what it is that you travel towards. Claim it, name it, shape it, to the left of you, rising from the memory of the blood and of the earth and of the bone, are the wisdom mothers. This is a lineage of mothers who have the wisdom of the earth, the wisdom of life, the priestesses, the grandmothers, the medicine people, the many names of these wise women and mothers. And they rise up from the blood, all the women in your blood lineage, those known and unknown, named and unnamed, seen and unseen. We honor them at this moment. For if they had not been, we would not be. And those of the bone are mothers who are human and other, because your bones are made of calcium, chelated calcium, which primarily comes from the fossilized calciated remains of ancient living things that has been eaten by the plants, and then animals eat the plants, and then we eat the animals, and we eat the plants. So our bones are also where we relate to the mineral world. So the ancestors of the bone that give us structure and solidness in this world, we honor them. If they had not been, we would not be. And the ancestors in the soil, wherever you are, you have been summoned to be. Because there's something for you, and there's something waiting for you where you live, where you are, where you work, in the soil itself. And those three lineages come together as a lineage of matriarchal presence and wisdom. With their left hand, they place it under your left elbow, and their right hand at your left shoulder blade, upholding you as you walk through the world. These are the mothers of wisdom and those who walk in grace. Now to the right, rising from the memory of the blood, the bone, and the soil, likewise are the fathers, the priests, the shaman, the medicine people, the unknown grandfathers who knew things. They rise from the memory of your blood, those named and unnamed, known and unknown, seen and unseen. And they rise up from the memory, the bones, those pre-human ancestors, and the soil, wherever you are, whatever summons you to be where you live and where you are now. They rise up as one lineage, these fathers. And with their left hand, they place at your right shoulder blade, and their right hand under your right elbow, upholding you, sustaining you as you walk through the world. These, the fathers of wisdom, those who walk in grace. You see, we never walk alone. Know this if you get nothing else from this workshop. Generations of grace walk with you. All you have to do is be aware. And now, be aware of the center, your center, made of the center of all things. All things come from the original parents, the mother of all space, who gives birth to even the stars. Space, the utterance of the great mother within your lungs. Every time you breathe and are breathed, you are in communion with space, with eternal presence. Every breath we take and release, we cast a spell of love and peace. And we feel the Divine Mother as she breathes into us and draws breath from us. And likewise, as we draw breath from her and breathe breath into her. Feel the presence of the Divine Mother in the breath, and then the Divine Father in the heartbeat. The heartbeat pulses like the pulse of the first star ever lit on the altar of heaven, the first child of the mother of all, the central sun of being, the first star that lit all stars and moons and suns, and all the way down to you, the light that flows through you and through your heart. It's the light of the first Father, and it pulses that light throughout the galaxy of your body. In our heart, the great star Father. In our lungs, the great uttering Mother. And together they come together, and at their center, in their loving union, is you, the child of promise, born to heal the world, born to take forward the best of the ancestors, and born to be a product of the heavens and the deep earth. And the seven directions come together as a oneness. And we are now at the center of the crossroads, where all magic begins and all magic ends. Now, in your center, I want you to feel the love you have for humanity and for its possibilities. Even the gratitude for us all to be together like we are now. Across thousands of miles, the internet gives us the ability to reach to each other, and now we can truly make big differences. We've all been summoned here today by a common cause, unity. And unity cannot happen when we're caught in an illusion of isolation, an illusion that produces abandonment, fear, fury, and shame. And then the desire to possess, the resentment of change, the desire for absolutes. Bringing us back into unity could never be more important. So each one of us carry a piece of the paradox of disconnect from that unity. And as that has poured out across the generations of humanity, it is manifested as things like war, child abuse and domestic abuse, racism, homophobia, damage to the ecology. Let the compassion build up inside you for the generations to come and for those ancestors who were wounded by the illusion of isolation. Let us go now in compassion to the river of blood, to that place where any part of us and our ancestry contributed or is contributed to the illusion that prevents unity from happening. Let's go and heal that ancestor. Likewise, it's way back. So out of compassion for humanity and the earth, and the desire to heal us so that we can be a harmonious force on this planet, let that be the fuel that feeds us all today as we go to the river. Now be aware once again of the earth below, the common shared home that we all have. The earth that's made also of the ashes of everything that's ever lived, the extracted wisdom of everything that has ever lived. Placing one of your hands before you, palms down. Feel the pulse of the earth. Feel it rise to your hand. Good neighbors of the underrealms, awaken unto life. Ban the bane and bless our luck and banish blight and strife. Lead us to the ancient road and back in touch with thee, and we will know our kin and rock and cloud and sacred tree. We feel the earth open to us, the wisdom of all that's been. No mother rejects her child at her heart, and this is the mother of mothers. And we feel a well of memory open before us. And as we do, you may feel a tingle or a warmth or just a magnetic pull of your hand to the earth. Open that feeling outward by spiraling counterclockwise out and opening a well into the memory of the earth. And by leaning our heads downward, we place the newest part of our brain, the frontal cortex, to the eldest part of life, the earth, and the oldest part of us, of our brain, the medulla, we're presenting it to the heavens for the ever arriving. And the earth opens before us a well of memory. Feel yourself becoming lighter, lighter like a wisp of smoke, drawn down into the memory of the earth. Feel yourself extending deeper and deeper. Perhaps you can sense the presence of a spiral stairway leading into the depths of the earth, made of worn stone, worn smooth by the feet of centuries and centuries of wisdom keepers who have walked this way in search of wisdom. And feel yourself flow ever so effortlessly and quickly down those steps, like a feather drifting on a light breeze. But we move, and as we move, we can see off to the edges the eyes of the ancestors looking at us, human and other. They know why we're coming. They know why we descend into the living memory of the world, to heal ourselves by healing others. And as we flow down, we go deeper and deeper past the roots and soil and hidden waterways, until we finally find our feet beginning to arrive at a place that is glorious and beautiful. But there is no sun, there is no moon, but instead everything is lit by the starlight within it. There's trees, there's even a sky, but the sky is not lit by sun nor moon, it's just lit. And we look around the plants, they let light come forward from themselves. We see animals, the light comes forward from them. This is how we look in paradise, made of undivided light. Now, off in the distance, you might hear or feel the sound of a river, a vast river. Feel yourself moving towards that vast river, and as you do, off in the distance, you might see a fog above it. But this is like no other river, because we can see a ruby-like light, bright. You see, the river of blood is not some dull and looking blood. It is luminous, it is bright, like flowing rubies. But as we come forward towards it, we're aware that there is a hauntedness too. So you see, on this side of the river is the bank of sorrow. On the other side of the river is the bank of song. We're here to help ancestors out of sorrow into song. Revisiting where we are in our heart, we've come seeking the ancestors, any ancestors in our blood that were the victims or victimizer, that is affecting unity and peace in our line and in ourselves. You see, we heal them and we heal generations. So as we move towards the river, we can feel that the river has almost like a magnetic pull, and it's pulling us towards a certain area. And in that area, we see a boat, a small glass boat made of crystalline substance, the Perdun, the glass boat of destiny. This is no mere boat. This is a divine being. Get into that boat. We don't have to row this boat. This boat knows where it's going. It's leading us to the ancestors within our blood or within the blood of another. Now, do not be surprised if you find that you have found an ancestor in a dear friend's lineage, or each other, or someone who's on here who we don't even know. Doesn't matter. Go with grace. We're here to heal each other, to heal ourselves by healing the headwaters of harm. So we get into the boat and it begins to move. We can hear in our inner being the ancestors crying out for redemption, those who have caught in the entanglements and entrenchments of their memories. You see, whether we go into a paradise or we go into a personal hell depends on how resolved we are within ourselves. And we have had ancestors who've been through things and are caught in the entanglements and entrenchments of those memories. And we hear them crying out for redemption. You were here to help. And the boat begins to move, but we see something in the bottom of the boat. A golden comb. This is no mere comb. This is the golden comb of resolution. To detangle the knots, to cast a spell of enchantment and memory. So the shades of our ancestors caught in pain or woe can now move into harmony. And so the boat moves and we take up the comb. As we flow out towards the middle of the river, we can see off in the distance, just ever so slightly, misty white figures dancing and singing. They're singing songs that our heart knows, glory, glory, and hallelujah, and oh joy it be. These are the stream of saints, those redeemed and blessed ancestors who come to help those that we bring forward out of pain or woe. Now the river begins, the boat begins to start to slow down and pause. You see, the boat and the river know exactly where in the generations of the river of blood to take you, to the ancestors caught in pain or woe, who need lifted, removed, who need lifted out of their memory so they can remember themselves fully and step back into healing. With your right hand, I'd like you to reach out beyond the boat, out towards the river. You will find that your hand will fall upon the back of the neck, sometimes on the hair. Don't worry. If you pick them up by their hair, it doesn't hurt. Or if you pick them up by the scruff of their neck or by the clothing, they're very light. They're light yet heavy. Light, the heaviness is their inner burdens, and they're black and white, no color. So let your hand reach. Do not choose who you pick up, just wherever your hand reaches. Your hand knows better to reach than any part of your body. Let it reach. It knows what it's doing. And we find an ancestor. We may not even recognize them, and bring them up onto the boat. They look at us with hope in their eyes. For some, they have been there for centuries. For some, they had no idea that the decisions they made or the harm they incurred would introduce an entanglement into the great river. And they've been caught there waiting for a long time, crying out for a redeemer to come forward. And today we're the redeemers. We were all born to redeem some part of the river of blood, to bring the best forward, to heal the ancestors, receive their wisdom, take the whole river forward. And we take that comb, the golden comb of resolution, and we begin to comb them. And at first they may look at us like, what are you doing? And if they have no hair, don't worry, comb down their clothing. Comb down them, and as you do, what you may notice is they feel it as such comfort. It detangles the hair. It starts to remove detritus, pieces of strings and old pieces of cording and icky pieces of cloth and even parchment that has things written on it. These are the products of their woe, old and outworn. You see, it's through this that we live in the past, and the past can be like a ravenous zombie that can't eat enough of our present to fulfill its appetite. The past is for reflection, not residence. We begin to comb more, and as we comb, these things fall apart. The knots come out, the things that are on them fall off, and with each comb, we find that color is coming into them. They may begin to weep and tell you of their story. They may begin to thank you. Someone finally heard them crying out. And from today, all that is downline of this ancestor related to this paradox will be resolved and healed. For the blood now can breathe, for now more and more of that which is best of us can arrive. And we continue to comb. And as we're combing, the stuff falls down into the boat and is simply redeemed, simply turns into light. The boat begins to move. We're coming towards the end of our time down here. Again, we see off in the distance, white-clad figures, females and males, dancing and singing, calling out to the ancestor, calling out to you, praising you for coming here, praising your compassion. the grace of the river and the boat and the comb. Now the ancestor may turn and look at you with such gratitude. Across centuries, perhaps you heard, not through the ears of your head, but through the ears of your heart. And you came. Because of the one, the many are healed. And the boat starts to reach the bank of song. This is where the ancestor, it's all. This ancestor rises. It may look at you, it may say something of importance, it may give you something, or it may simply weep and thank you. Let that gratitude fill you up, for today you are a healer of generations. The ancestor begins to step out of the boat, all red of the cheeks, and now all the color in them, and they can remember who they were and who they are beyond the pain. And the saints rise and they come to. These saints are the wise, redeemed, and blessed ancestors. Some you may recognize, some may not. You go back a long ways, you know. And they receive this ancestor and they thank you. One of them casts a red rose to you and you take it and you smell of it. Oh, the scent is so sweet. This red rose is to give you power, to redeem the blood, power to strengthen your blood, power to fuel you as an agent of change, bringing unity and peace to the world. And the rose fades into you as medicine. And now we feel the boat begin to rise. That may have startled you. It's rising on a breath that breathes from the center of our world, the breath of a dreaming child of promise at the core of the world that dreams the world into existence, the star child at the center of our world, the son of heaven. And we rise on its breath and rise. We can see below the saints still waving at us, and they begin to fall away into the distance. And still the residue of the rose, we can feel it, and the gratitude, the feeling of engaging and possibility. We'll never get that ancestor out of our inner memory. We could feel the ancestor's gratitude. We begin to rise further and further, and then the boat begins to fall away back into the memory of the world. We rise up, up, up out of the memory of the world, back into our bodies, where we wiggle our toes and our fingers, maybe touch ourselves a little bit, pat ourselves a little bit, get ourselves home. And then we're aware of the sun and the moon and the heavens above, the vastness of life. Again, the wonderment of it all. We're aware of the sacred earth and its depths and its memory, and the river of blood where we just now went. And we're aware of a direction before, behind, to the left, and to the right. The mothers to the left, the fathers to the right, and we thank them, and they say, let go of this day. Now let that which has taken place fall into the memory of the world and become life. And we feel the center of our being made of breathing starlight, mother and father of all come together as a oneness within you. And you were here in this world as a child of promise, a redeemer of ancestors, a bringer of healing and solutions. And your hand reaches out before you. You're aware of that well into the memory of the world that you had opened. And now spiral it clockwise back down into the memory of the world. Now that grace that was done within the memory of the world will rise into this world as healing. We have no idea how many people downline of that ancestor we have now healed. May all the powers of love encompass you through all nights and through all days and in all good ways, as it is, as it was, as it ever shall be. Blessings of the river of blood. Now I believe, Kanu, this, if anyone have questions, this might be a good time.
Yeah, Ryan, we have about 6 minutes, and so there's no rush though. There's nothing after this on the plenary. So go ahead and answer
Okay.
questions.
Renee, that may go down in history for me being on time.
Yeah, I know. I was
A
like,
sign,
I
it's
was
a
like,
sign.
I was looking at I was like, oh no. Okay, good. He's starting. Good. Okay.
It's a sign. It's a sign.
Well,
So
if
does anyone
anyone,
have any thoughts they'd like to share what happened for you, or a question, or a, what was that? You know,
while people get their thoughts together, I'd
Yeah.
like to say thank you, Orion, by the way, for helping
Thank you.
lead this for everyone. Debbie
Thank you.
Segal in the chat says she found her maternal grandmother and
Oh,
and combed her, which is a real touching act of compassion. I know many of us both know and don't know the things about our past that may be the ancestral traumas that we live with or continue at times. And if anybody has a question about whether or not there's anything you could do about your past, I think the question can well be addressed by this kind of practice.
yes.
And it's really appropriate for this type of event. We start with knowing that we are not separate from everything else, that we're an integral part of it, and that World Unity Week is entirely consistent with this kind of practice in the sense that, and vice versa, in the sense that we can encourage humanity to be the integral part of it that we're meant to be, and that we have a role that we should claim for not just being hard on the earth and each other, but healers of each other in the earth as well.
Yes.
But if anybody has observations or questions they want to share with Orion, I don't want to talk over them either. So please feel free to unmute or put your comments or questions in the chat.
I'm seeing so many people's comments, so many people I know and love, and so many people I'm just now knowing and loving. It's too often we think that the things of the past, there's nothing we can do about. Well, there is no past. The thing we must understand, it all rolls into each other. The past is within. The future is extended. The now is the real. One is an expended now, one's an anticipated now, rolling into each other. And there is a stream that we can move with. There's so much more we can do. Heal that. And I assure you, we will watch the world change.
If people want to hear a little bit about this kind of works effect, I discovered in genealogical research with my father about an ancestor that was a slave owner that got the first contract to build a federal road in Florida from St. Augustine to Tallahassee.
Wow.
It's now known as the Old Bellamy Road. And this kind of work inspired me to go make sure I could find that road, talk to the ancestors who helped build it, because I have some African ancestry that is almost undoubtedly related to either his ownership or something similar, and to try and tell them how sorry I am that they built this road. My ancestor may have got the contract, but it was their labor, their sweat, their blood that built that road. To start making a little peace with them, to tell them I'll bring them back some food, to take home some dirt from that road to work with, and to remind myself of the obligation I have to help promote unity and peace, respect for diversity, and healing. So,
Connor, this is why we love you. You're a good man. And a good man does not weep for the mistakes of ancestors. You see, people make the best choices with what's inside of them and what's been given to them. This is why we go with compassion for even the worst decisions. And we go in compassion and remove them from the paradox they're in, and remove those who were harmed. See, we cannot change the behaviors of the past, but we can bring healing to the harmed. If any of us are caught in pain or woe, then all of us are affected.
And it's the same compassion that all of us brought to the river just now for an ancestor, named or unnamed, to help bring them some healing and some relief, to untangle their threads as they help, as they affect us in their futures, and to help them resolve that trauma so that they can be at more peace. Thank you so much for this work.
Can be reached on Facebook under Orion Foxwood. I'm on there a lot, and I'm on the Instagram. Also at orionfoxwood.com. Please forgive the website. We're still got some work to do on it, but where it says contact us, you can contact us. It goes right to me. I also have somewhere around, God, it's over 50. It's more than that, I think, workshops that are posted at awantree.com. Just look for the Orion Foxwood workshops. There's a lot of stuff there. And then doing a lot of things online. Kanu, is there anything that I left out on contact things there?
I think that's good to get people in touch with you if they want to follow up.
Yeah.
Orion is the head of the House of Bree Faery Seership Institute, and the guy who really leads this practice for many of the seers that he's been training around the United States and the world. So we hope that you've been able to receive some really nice stuff today, and we look forward to anybody who wants to follow up with Orion or the house to talk about this more or to get involved in fairy seership training. He also has some other avenues that he's focusing on, including ancestral healing as a practice. So we would look forward to finding ways to have you involved with that to any extent you'd like.
This is Bob Warner with my wife, Noelle Marshall. We are so happy that you were able to bring this wisdom, Orion, to the CCC Gifts of the Magi room this week. We will be archiving, as we will all of the 4 days of events in this room, Gifts of the Magi room, will be archived at the CCC's website, co-creatorsconvergence.com. And it might take us a week or so to get through all of them because there's 35 programs and get them edited, and they'll all be there in the archives listed under World Unity Week 2021. This has been such a delight to have you bring your through the ages, through the lineage, through the ancestries. Thank you so much for this wonderful gift.
Bless you. Thank you so much. Thank you for having a space that we can come into. And you said the word co-create.
Yes.
You
Yes,
said
indeed.
it. Thank you. Would it be okay to do a final blessing for everyone? If it's
Absolutely.
Is that okay?
That.
Thank you again for this space. Thank you. Bless you. I would like if everyone would take a moment and center in on this. We all arrived here, star-born. We are all born of the streams of starlight, and we are still being born of it. As this incredible planet moves through eternity, and the light of all of the heavens is flowing through us. That light, as it flows to us, to each one of us, comes as a waterfall of light falling from the heavens, becoming you. A waterfall that falls into the deep ancestral memory of the earth and rises up as you and I. So I want you to take a moment and feel that great waterfall of light. Feel the ever arriving golden white light that falls down and becomes all living things. A gift of the heavens above, garb of the earth below. Now feeling that light arrive to you, I share with you this blessing. And I'll lead you in some movements with your hands. I call down the cloak of the angels. Fall down as a waterfall of light. Now take that light, everyone, and wrap it around you, guiding, guarding, and blessing each one of you by day and by night. May you be guided by the highest and most noble inspirations and aspirations. May the wise ancestors rise and place your feet in right relationship with the directive of your spirit. And may you be covered by the light that informed your coming into being, the inspiration behind your incarnation. For heaven is not distant, it is within all things. Let this light wrap you and guard you and guide you always. May all the powers of love encompass you through all nights and through all days and in all good ways. Let this be written into the book of the law that none may rend asunder, as it is, as it was, and as it ever shall be. Peace and love go with you. Thank you.
And with you, Orion.
And with you.